Hello there, I'm Yang Rui. Many observers of China are trying to figure out what the future may hold for this rising economic power and its implications for the world. One important paradigm is to examine the values of the younger generation. China is said to be more open than Japan in the 1980s in many ways, and is subject to a greater impact of Western values and Western influence. But the centuries-old tradition and the culture of this ancient Eastern power mean that the new identity and orientation of the Chinese values are currently confronted with the task of their heritage and development when the Chinese society is undergoing very profound transformation. To take a closer look at the values and behavior of the young Chinese, we are pleased to be joined here by Mr. Wang Huiyao, Director of the China International Economic Cooperation Society, and Dr. Thomas Herdin, an assistant professor with the Salzburg University in Austria. Welcome to Dialogue, gentlemen. First of all, can you tell us briefly your personal feelings and evaluation of the values of the current younger generation in the Chinese society 3 decades after China decided to open itself up? Mr. Wang.
Yeah, I think this is a very interesting topic. As a matter of fact, China opened up almost 30 years ago, and I still remember the days that we went to school. That there's old-fashioned that you don't talk to the female classmate. You know, there's a division line on your desk, and people will all wear blue pants, and you know, girls have pigtails in the head. So you see this old style. But after 30 years, everything has changed. You know, there's a lot of new ideas. There's a lot of new lifestyles. There's a new thinking coming up. So the value has changed. Of course, all this has happened because of the market economy, because of the market reform. And of course, younger people nowadays, there's all kind of saying. You know, they are bobos, or they are lost generation, or they are the generation of new thinking or creative class. You know, you have a variety of brand on those young people.
And I believe this picture must have been reinforced by the omnipresent internet nowadays in the age of information. Now, Tom, what's your take about the values of the younger generation here in China after doing a survey about the behavior and values of young Chinese here in this country?
It's really puzzling. So as an European, if I come here, it's I really get dizzy because it's changed so much. When I came here the first time, it's a long time ago. I lived for 7 years in Southeast Asia, and I experienced the opening up in Indochina, but it's no comparison to here. So I see a lot of cultural surface synchronization. You don't feel anymore the differences because of the ICTs, information and communication technologies, about this global lifestyle. But the survey showed and the research showed that there are still differences. Even if it's on the surface, it looks quite the same now. And yes, this was what we tried to find out, and we found out it's a lot of achievement. You know, it's much more than you find in Europe.
What are the typical Asian values, Henry?
Yeah, well, to me, I mean, the Asian value, of course, there's a lot of dimensions, but most obvious for me, I think that people are looking in harmony, and the people respect the family, and respect the seniors and authority, and people are working, diligent, and also people are, of course, quite like to keep savings. For example, also there's a lot, you know, there's old traditional values of those.
But Tom, I wonder if you have noticed the profound change, particularly with regard to the perception of the younger generation about plurality or pluralism in their values. It seems that they prefer to have a greater diversity and greater variety of values instead of adhering to the traditional doctrines, classical indoctrination of, say, Marxism and communism. The new generation seem to be more flexible in choosing their own lifestyles and behavior. What do you think of the relationship between harmony, which indeed remains a pretty strong, deep-rooted notion for the elder generation and for the Chinese leadership, and diversity as well as variety?
That's absolutely true. What I found out is that they have this kind of both and philosophy, that they really can accept a little bit of this style, Western style, and still have these traditional values. But what I think it's the values is very deep in the unconsciousness. I think it's important to reflect what's going on. Where I've learned the most in my life when I was abroad, to reflect my own values, not to give up this. Sometimes it seems that they throw these their own values overboard and just accept these Western values because it looks more cool, like in a qualitative research, a student said. And I think this we should this should be redefined, reformulated, brought up in the discussion for the younger people, that they really know what they want, what they have from these kinds of values.
Henry, I wonder if you have followed the sweeping craze of Chinese supergirls, a national contest for selecting the best pop singers from teenagers, especially the females. That was a very dramatic and sensational newsmaking event last year. That reminds me of why young people nowadays are crazy about finding their own idols. On the one hand, the personality cult that we had, unfortunately, during the Cultural Revolution had disappeared with the end of the Cultural Revolution between 1966 and 76. On the other hand, the younger generation are looking for new idols, new examples to follow. Why do you think is this a new approach by the young people to fill in the vacuum of ideology and faith?
Yeah, I think that's true. What you have mentioned, the Supergirl phenomena is quite vivid, actually, happening last year and the year before, and also happening now. I mean, Superboy, they even have that now. And what I think is that the younger generation these days, probably you rightly put, there's a value vacuum for to some extent possible, because in the old days we have some old the traditional values, and then for other people maybe they have Western values, but for younger generation, because of the Cultural Revolution for the 10 years, and also because of the class struggle theory for 30 years before that, including Cultural Revolution, there's no value. The traditional value has been diluted. There's no carry on of the Confucius value and also the traditional Chinese value. So these young people, they don't know what to take. There's a clash between East and West. There's a clash between the Confucius value and the Western market, the economy-driven values, and
contrarily and ironically, what we call the phenomena of supergirls might be the results of commercialization or excessive commercialization. It's what we call the man-made idol for the younger generation.
Yeah, that's true. There is a commercialization in every part of the world. Of course, in America they have a similar type of a Supergirl, American Idol, for example. But they are not causing such a big splash in America as they caused in China.
Because the American values are so diversified, it's hardly possible for all of the young people to look at the single television program at the same time, right?
Because I think traditionally China is also a value uniformed society, and so there's not much to pursue about. And then once something opened up, coupled with the internet, coupled with the mobile phone, coupled with the television, live broadcasting, that really technology has brought up the new fad and new trend.
Tom, let's talk about Japan. Japan started its process of westernization or modernization in what we call the Meiji Restoration, that enabled Japan to become the strongest country by defeating the Qing dynasty in the late 19th century and and defeating Russia at the beginning of the 20th century. And after it was defeated by the end of the Second World War, it quickly rose to the position of yet a global strong economy. Why is Japan able to achieve all these? What do you think of the impact of the values that they imported from Western countries upon the formation of their own new political system and values?
Quite a difficult question, yes, because I think they readapted to their culture. It seems that here the movements in China going so rapidly, that the people really don't have even time to recognize what's going on, the young people. And there it was, the process was not so fast. It was really slower, and then they had this possibility to readapt and reflect this, I think, and they really focused on this. Whereas here in China, it's the young generation is really under pressure. So I think sometimes what they say individualism, it's not the concept. There are different kinds of individualism. We say the West, it's Europe. Has a completely different kind of individualism, like the US, because we have more like a social network. And I think if the youth, the young people here, try to inhale this individualism, then it's more like selfish, what the older generation is talking about them. So it's really going too fast that you really can reflect what's going on.
What do you mean by going too fast? Are you saying that the Chinese are more practical, more secular than Japan and India, and both of which are very religious if you look at the Shintoism and its impact upon the formation of their historic outlook, and the Indian Buddhism? I mean, of course, there are major different religious groups in India, and China imported Buddhism from India in the Yuan dynasty. So, is it a good thing, Harry and Tom, for China to become so secular, practical, and material-oriented?
My interpretation of Japan is that Japan has been always trying to learn from outside, and then it's hold a very strong Oriental value. Even when it's learning from the West in the turn of the century, in the last century, of course, and also before that, they have also maintained a good part of their traditional value, so that they have been good. There's a good combination of the traditional value and the Western value. I think that's the success of Japan. Whereas in China, I think in the last 30 years, and then of course 30 years before that, there was a great repudiation of the traditional value. There's a strong criticism.
May the Fourth Movement highlighted a radical departure from the traditional culture.
Exactly. I mean, the May 4th movement, of course, the even more drastically, the Cultural Revolution. You knock down the city walls, you knock down all the
destroyed all the temples and pavilions.
So the sky is still aching today. The sky is still painful today because of the impact it has on the people. So people don't know what to believe. Suddenly the gate is open and the product flooded in, coupled with the values and all the Western thinking, and then people have a hard time to digest. And particularly for the younger people, because they have no traditional value on hold, and then they have
You mean they were caught ill-prepared for the sudden flooding?
Exactly. I mean, that's where how people absorbing those Western value indiscriminately. I mean, they have so there's good things and there's bad things, and I think probably what we could do now is trying to sort out good things and get rid of the bad.
Well, thank you very much for being with us. You are watching Dialogue with Henry Wang Huiyao and Dr. Thomas Herdin with the Salzburg University in Austria. We are talking about the values of the younger generation in China and a comparison of such values between the East and the West. Stay with us. We'll be back after this short break. Welcome back. With the end of the Cold War, some top reps of the elder generation in this country were very much afraid that we might go a little bit too far down the road of westernization and the bourgeoisie impact upon the formation of the historic outlook of the young people may indicate the undoing of the country's future. And this has worried a lot. This has worried the Chinese leadership very much as we had the political upheavals. Do you think we should still embrace the zero-sum game? The Eastern and the Western values are mutually exclusive. What do you think of the mindset of the elder generation?
I think that people realize we are living in a one world. We have one dream, and then it's
one world, one dream.
Yeah,
the world will be united behind the banner next year, the 2008 Olympic Games in Beijing, right?
Yeah, because we have the one Earth that we cannot escape from. So people have to live in harmony, and then we got to live to cope with each other and live in peaceful coexistence. Mm-hmm. So I think as China has adopted the market economy, to some extent, some of the value that naturally you adopted. For example, you stress for efficiency. Of course, you're also looking for fairness, and you're also looking for the society that really meets all the sectors and all the different groups of the people's interests. So I think today the priority for China is really to get the values established among itself, the traditional Chinese value, the good values, but at the same time learn the best values from over the world, and also that we become open, but on the other hand we do not restrict ourselves.
You mean nationalities and different ethnic groups are coming to be more interdependent in the age of globalization, right?
Exactly.
Particularly with the growing penetration of satellite and the flow of information from the West. Now, Thomas, what do you think of the Western label about China's ideology? They still call China Communist China or Red China. Now, given the rise of the middle-income families and the formation of what is called the middle class, given the protection of a private ownership that's enshrined in our new constitution, given our very deep integration into the international economic order, can China still be called such a ideological society?
Absolutely not, I think.
Are you saying this label is too much ideologically charged and politically charged?
That's absolutely right.
Is it close to the facts?
No, because there's something evolving, something completely different, and I think we should think deeply about this. What this is, it's not real the open economy. Yeah, it's also not this communism ideology. There's something evolving, something very new, I think, and this we should have a closer look at.
We are currently at the primary stage of socialist development, according to Premier Wen Jiabao, and he delivered this famous article prior to the opening of this year's annual session of the NPC, the National People's Congress, and a lot of Western correspondents raised the questions about the implications of his article, which says basically the primary stage of our social development or primary stage of socialism in China will continue for yet another perhaps 50 or 100 years. And Tom and Harry, what are your interpretations about the understatement of his article?
Which I think that the Premier Wen's statement, I interpret that as which means the basic the socialist form, which we're still lasting for a long time, and which means that we are still going to in a primary stage, of the socialist stage, whereas the end of the communist ideology that everything is to each needs according to each wish. It's no longer it could not be realized that soon. So I think that we are still in a very basic stage, and we still need to work on the market reforms, or use market mechanism and we're going to adopt the Western and whatever human mankind has accumulated the best the theory and the practice for the construct the Chinese economy.
Tom.
I think what China could focus or should focus also to help this the young generation is more to we've heard actually about this market economy. I think parallel we have to look at this building up social networks. The young generation feel very lost in some kind of sense, and they feel they don't have any network anymore. Of course, they have the family. That's a very important thing still. But with this economy, they are free. They have their personal freedom. They want to enjoy this, but they feel very insecure and yeah.
Let's look at a very famous social phenomenon. 愤青 in Chinese it refers to the angry generation. They don't have a sense of belonging to Chinese traditional values, and they don't identify themselves with the Chinese culture. What is your opinion about this very interesting social phenomenon? 愤青, are they really angry about the social reality?
Well, I think the Fenqin, I think the got originated in the 1980s. I would interpret there's quite a lot of them are probably lost generation, because you remember in the 1980s when people are coming back from the countryside, from when some people get chances to go to the university, while a lot of people don't have the chances. Well, as the income gap gradually widens up, and so there's a lot of young people really gets angry about that. I mean, they probably get also don't care about anything anymore, and they feel that they are neglected, and they feel they are very have a lot of frustration about. So that's probably a phenomenon original at that time, but then carried on probably to today to some extent, which means that there's a lot of young people don't care. And sometimes get very angry about inequality, and we particularly see that in the internet.
What about the bobos, bourgeois and bohemians? They started to show their influence in China in the late 1990s, and some say, in short, that they are the cultural consequences of the age of information. Henry, what do you make of this assumption?
I think the bourgeoisies and the bohemians are quite true. I mean, that's happening. That's probably with the information age, with the affluence of the society, and then there's emerging a new class of younger generation where they are relatively well off, they are relatively creative, and they are well informed. They are surfers on the internet, and they are adopting new lifestyle, and so that has actually happening, and then there seems there's a growing numbers of people like that. I mean, I happen to know some people like that because they really interested in the new fashion, new style, new creating of they enjoy arts. You know, they enjoy a good lifestyle.
Well, despite the shades of the differences that characterize the values in the East and the West, that characterize different schools of thoughts in this country. LOHAS, the short name for lifestyles of health and sustainability, this phrase comes to China recently. It means the younger generation or a group of young people care so much about their health, about the environment, and about the sustainability of our way of life. They are called lohas. In Chinese, they are called happy living or 乐活族. We have different zu groups. And LOHAS talks a lot about climate change, the environment, and sustainability. You look very much like a rep of LOHAS. Is that the case?
Hopefully, yes.
What is your thought about LOHAS?
I think, exactly here you find this Eastern philosophy again. It's Buddhism, to live in harmony with the nature. It's Lao Tse Taoism, and I think this is the reformulation of old traditional values now again in a modern context. And I think this could be the way, really to look what are the old values here, and how we can transfer them in the modern world. And Laos is exactly this outcome, this very positive outcome.
Thank you for your love for the traditional